In episode 1 of the Kenobi series, Bail Organa convinces Obi-Wan to leave his 10-year solitude on Tatooine to go help and save Leia Organa. However, Kenobi was very skeptical about this, and his initial reaction was no. So what if Kenobi didn't leave Tatooine to save Leia? After a day's work, Obi-Wan makes his way back to his hut. His droid notifies him that someone is inside. He walks in cautiously to see a cloaked figure facing the opposite direction. The figure turns around to confront Kenobi and reveals that it is Bail Organa. He pleads with Kenobi to go after Leia, but he disagrees. Bail argues that she is of equal importance to Luke, and the only reason he wouldn't go after her is because of his past failures. He pleaded with him to let go of his past failures and go after Leia. He asks Kenobi for one last fight, but he stubbornly says no and asks Bail to leave. Bail gets one last line in and tells Kenobi what a coward he has become, that he is definitely not the man he once knew. Bail leaves and makes his way back to Alderaan. He puts in his own measures to save Leia, but he knows they are somewhat futile. He sends his best squad after his daughter on Daiyu, hoping they can save her. In the meantime, the mercenaries have Leia on Daiyu with Reva close by. Reva has been waiting for this moment for a long time, the opportunity to capture Kenobi. However, she will be significantly disappointed. The mercenaries are attacked by Bail's officers, and the leader calls Reva to her to tell them that they've been attacked and to come at once. Bail's officers defeat the mercenaries and make their way to Leia, but Reva walks in behind them and freezes them with the Force. They stop dead in their tracks. She walks around the room looking at their faces to see which one is Kenobi. She gets to the last one expecting it to be Kenobi. It must be, but it's just another officer. She asks the officers where Kenobi is, but none of them reply. She thinks that Kenobi must have led this group towards Leia, so he didn't have to show his face and risk exposure. She uses her ability, Mind Probe, on all of the officers' minds to find out where Kenobi is, whilst his officers carry out their mission. One by one, she is disappointed, as she doesn't sense Kenobi in any of the officers' thoughts. Reva backs up against the wall. She was sure Kenobi would come, for his close friend Bail's daughter. Did the Force lie to her? Whilst these thoughts are whizzing through her head, one of the officers makes a run for it. However, he is too slow. Reva pulls him back with the Force and pierces his chest with her blade. Anger has taken over Reva as she makes her way from officer to officer, taking a life one by one. All that's left is Leia, who she looks upon with the deepest hatred. She was supposed to be the key, but turned out to be useless. Before Reva does anything irrational, the Grand Inquisitor walks into the room and takes Reva's lightsaber from her with the Force. Reva has gone behind the Grand Inquisitor's back for the last time. The Grand Inquisitor explains how she is the bottom of the Inquisitors and how dare she go behind his back and kidnap an Imperial Senator's daughter. Reva claps back, saying that the Grand Inquisitor is a failure, as he has never found Kenobi, but he stops her mid-sentence. He doesn't need to hear it. He explains how Vader will decide how to discipline her. He is already on his way. The Grand Inquisitor takes Leia and Reva to their ship, where the other two Inquisitors are, waiting for Lord Vader's arrival. The shadow of Lord Vader's Imperial shuttle covers the dark planet of Daiyu. The ship lands next to the Inquisitor's transport scythe, and Vader makes his way out. Vader meets with the Inquisitors and asks what the meaning of this is. He has very many things to attend to. The Grand Inquisitor explains the incompetence of Reva, and how her ability to follow orders has led to her even kidnapping an Imperial Senator's daughter. The Grand Inquisitor asks that Vader is disciplined accordingly, and reminded about the level of command. Vader can't help but sense a presence he's felt before, in his past life. He doesn't care about Reva. She could be dead and it would mean nothing to him. "Bring me the daughter," Vader mutters, as the Grand Inquisitor has a shocked look on his face. He goes to argue, but Vader explains that there will be consequences if he has to ask for a second time. The fifth brother brings in a young Leia, who is fighting her captor. Under Vader's helmet, his eyes widen. He even skips a breath. The girl looks identical to Padme and has the same presence within the Force. It can't be Padme's daughter, can it? She would be the right age, goes through his head. The Jedi have deceived him. This has to be Kenobi's doing, he thinks. The daughter of Padme and Anakin is alive. Vader explains how the girl will come with him, and the Grand Inquisitor is to discipline Reva how he sees fit. Before he leaves, Vader asks whose daughter it is, where Reva replies Bail Organa, to which then it all makes sense to Vader. Vader takes Leia off-world in his ship. The presence of Padme is overwhelming, a presence he has desired and longed for 10 long years. They sit in silence before Vader asks who her parents are. Leia tells Vader that she will not tell her anything. Vader can't help enjoy this. the exact response Padme would have given. Vader tells her that she will tell him whether she wants to or not, and to make this easy. Leia, although young, can tell Vader is telling the truth. Maybe she senses this within him. She tells Vader that she is the daughter of Bail and Breha Organa, but is not their biological daughter, and was adopted shortly after she was born. This confirms it for Vader. It all makes sense. The pieces are coming together. They exit hyperspace with Alderaan in their view. They land at the Organa residence and walk out together to be greeted by Bail and his wife, as well as a few of their guards. Bail acknowledges Vader by Lord Vader and thanks him for returning his daughter. Although he means this, he cannot help but be filled with fear. What is Darth Vader doing with his daughter? Vader replies, saying they should speak inside, and Bail knows he doesn't have a choice and invites him in. Bail ushers Vader to sit down but stands there with Leia between his arms. Vader explains how he knows the girl is Padme's daughter, and he demands they tell him everything. Bail is taken aback. He did not expect this. He stutters, and Vader tells him that he should not have to repeat himself. Bail explains how it is not possible and that Padme died before birth. Enraged, Vader force chokes and hoists Bail up into the air. Enraged, Vader force chokes Bail and hoists him up into the air. Vader yells at him. He knows he is lying. He drops Bail and releases him from his hold. Vader tells Bail that he didn't kill Padme on Mustafar and felt through the Force that Padme was still alive. It was too late before Vader realized what he had said. Bail goes to mutter Anakin's name, but before he can do this, he force pushes Bail against the back wall. Bail tells Vader that Padme did survive long enough to give birth to Padme, but died shortly after. He concludes saying that Padme's last words was that there was still good left in Anakin Skywalker. This should make Vader furious, but it doesn't. It almost feels good to hear his name again, especially if it is about Padme. Vader mutters his name, Anakin Skywalker. Bail asks Vader if it's Anakin in there, but Vader doesn't really hear him. His mind is all over the place, fueled by conflict. The child of Anakin Skywalker and Padme Amidala is alive. Vader asks Bail to tell him more about her death, and he does so, but does not mention Luke. He tells Vader that Padme lost the will to live, and repeats himself that she believed Anakin could be redeemed. This makes Vader feel more guilt, not just because him turning to the dark side caused her to lose the will to live, but the fact that she believed there was still good in him, and he hadn't lived up to that. He looks over to Leia, who stares back up at him. Vader thinks this is his chance, the chance Padme wanted him to have, the chance to venture back into the light. He knows secretly that he has been looking for a reason to do so. Vader tells Bail that he is Anakin Skywalker, Leia's real father. Leia looks upon Bail with disbelief. She doesn't believe what she has just heard. Bail tells Vader that Padme would want him to continue down this current path, and that there is still hope for redemption. Vader tells Bail that he agrees and that his daughter being alive will carry on Padme's legacy. Vader has successfully journeyed back into the light. Bail's wife takes Leia off her to another room, and Bail and Vader discuss the rebellion against the Empire. He tells Vader that it's still in early days and there are rebel factions scattered around the galaxy, but they are not united. He continues to say that the real work can be done when they unite. Vader asks about any remaining Jedi that could come together to help out the cause. Bail knows he is taking a risk, but believes Vader has redeemed himself after hearing about Padme's death and discovering that his daughter is alive. But for now, he will keep Luke's identity secret. Bail explains how he knows a few are alive, including Yoda and Kenobi, but he tells Vader that it is unlikely that they will come back. Vader tells Bail that with the help of the remaining Jedi, plus an inside man in the Empire, that together they can overthrow the Emperor and take everything back. The Emperor stole everything from them. It's time to take it all back. Bail is tasked with reaching out to the remaining Jedi, and Vader will go back to his life in the Empire and begin taking measures against the Emperor. Vader comes and watches his daughter every few days, but she doesn't notice him, and he doesn't want her to see him yet. He is embarrassed of what he has become, and doesn't want her to see him like this. Vader and Bail meet again. He had contacted multiple Jedi, who have shown interest in uniting again, but it explains how Kenobi has rejected the call. Vader is shocked that even after Bail told him that Anakin was alive, that he said no. Vader asks Bail where Kenobi is, and that he will see him himself. Together, Vader and Bail make their way to Obi Wan's hut, to find no one home. Bail tells Vader that he will be at work and will be back soon. They hear Obi Wan's alarm droid go off as Kenobi arrives home. Obi Wan enters his cave to see the glooming figure of Darth Vader, more machine than man. Obi Wan whispers his name and Vader acknowledges that it is him. Kenobi tells Bail that he had already rejected their offer and he's not coming back. Vader tells Kenobi that he has made mistakes, but that he wants to redeem himself. He wants to live up to the standards Padme set for him. I know what I have done is inexcusable, but I want to do whatever I can to make things as right as possible, Vader explains. Obi-Wan mumbles and grabs his chin. Vader continues to tell Kenobi to think about the future of the galaxy, the future for Padme's daughter. He tells Kenobi that only together they can defeat the Emperor and restore the galaxy to how it used to be. Obi-Wan contemplates in his head, but knows what Vader is saying is correct. Obi-Wan agrees and tells them that he will take them to Yoda. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm going to leave it here, and let me know if you want a part 2.